Hello and welcome back. It's been a while, like a long while. This is because the computer I was using to edit my videos basically just gave up on me, but now I got a new computer. Thank you to my grandparents for that, by the way. And now I'm back to editing videos, and hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of those. First, I grabbed this wooden coaster. I got a big set of these, so I used these in a couple other videos that you'll probably see coming out soon. And I also got this big sheet of cork, and I started to rip pieces off and glue them on to the base, trying to build up this structure that the Gundam could stand on comfortably and kind of like look cool. Because you can't just have a cool model with a cool paint job that doesn't also have a cool base. I grabbed these little foam rocks that I have from, I think it was an army painter like basing kit. So I grabbed all these little foam rocks to just add some difference with the cork, and I just glued them into all these little nooks and crannies on the base. Then I grabbed the big boy himself and glued him down to his base. And I didn't realize how big these Gundams actually are. Like, this isn't even like the crazy grade model ones that are huge, and it's still huge. Then from that same army painter like basing kit, I grabbed some white glue, spread it around with a brush just to get more even, not just like these blotches everywhere, and grabbed these little very fine? I think the word is fine, right? Like fine grit? Yeah, fine. I grabbed these little fine rocks and pebbles that I glued all over the base, again to add some more interest to the base and not just have all this same texture. I then grabbed my manual drill, and I wanted to add a lot of battle damage to this guy. So I started just drilling into this thing, just wherever I felt it looked cool, where there would be battle damage, like at the fronts of some of the plates, on his head, on his chest area. I just went crazy, just drilling everywhere, and I wasn't stopping there with the battle damage. I grabbed my X-Acto blade and just started to slice like slice and jam and scrape and cut and leave all these marks on the model, because I thought he would be very cool if he, had battle damage and make him look more worn and like he's seen things, if you know what I mean. As if he's seen active duty, is how I would phrase it, even though obviously he's not like a soldier or whatever. I then drilled out the innards of like the barrels of his I'm presuming, I still don't fully know, but I think they're like some sort of grenade launcher. So I used that, and I grabbed some wooden dowel to glue into each of the barrels of the guns, so I could then add like the grenades / bullets on the ends to make it look like he's actually like firing them from his still presumed grenade launcher. And then I had one of the worst experiences building something ever. These stupid balls that I was using for the grenades just would not stick. They just wouldn't. No matter what I did, they would stick to anything but the wooden dowel. They'd stick to my fingers. They'd stick to the clippers. Just anything but what they were meant to. And it drove me insane. I then actually used a technique that I just kind of randomly thought of. So I grabbed my hot glue gun, and obviously it gets really hot at the end, like obviously to melt the glue. So I just jammed it into the model, because obviously it's a plastic model, and I just started to melt holes into the plastic as even more like severe looking battle damage. It just looked really cool, because it made it look like, I don't know, some sort of heat beam had been shot through him and it just left like a mark. I then wrapped around some cotton wool, like I think they were balls of cotton that I stretched out, and I rolled them into little strips and then swirled them around, so again it looked like the gun was actually firing. And then I glued his sword into the ground, because you know, what's it like without his other half? Has to be somewhere. Then I grabbed the forbidden peanut butter. I love this stuff. I use it on everything. Literally everything I've ever built. Mainly. This stuff is great. This texture paste just makes everything better. I then did him black and then sprayed him white to where the light would be coming from. So obviously from where he's shooting would be coming from. I then used the funny Crayola airbrush thing to make it look like it was glowing. So I did some red, I did some orange, and then yellow to just like make it all come together and just look like some sort of fiery, smoky energy being shot out, like, I don't know what to call it, like gunpowder, like coming out of his things shooting the grenades. I think it worked really well. I almost kept it black and with just the red and yellow. It just looks cool like that. But obviously I didn't stop there. This Gundam was originally blue, so I just decided to make him blue again. Does that seem counterintuitive by spray painting him and then just painting him blue again? Yes. Do I care? No. But I started with a deep blue, just layering this up in all the different areas, just trying to get a base coat on the different areas that weren't covered by the glowing light. I also layered up a little gray on the sword because I didn't want that to be blue. I wanted that to be a little different. I think that's the only thing I used that color on though. And then I grabbed a lighter blue and layered this up on top of the darker blue to add more differentiation. And also the lighter blue started to like blend with the like red paint that was from the glowing effect. And it ended up like looking really cool. It looked like the colors were like blending into each other like a gradient from the blue to the red. I then did a lot of edge highlighting and all like the yellow bits and like the glowing bits just to add like the shine to the ridges. Some of it isn't as noticeable as I wish it was, but on certain pieces it was. So it was kind of a double-edged sword where on some parts it did work and some it didn't. But in the end I think it was really worth it doing the edge highlighting. I then made the base a very basic color. I just did some simple dry brushing, and I called it good.